Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, was told to actually read the policy. So I did. This has got to me the fourth or fifth time I've asked you to do this. No, actually, you asked me once per my records that you asked me to start keeping since my performance review. You want his car? Take his other crap first. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Was told to actually read the policy. So I did. I work for an office and we have an 8-week busy season with mandatory overtime, 12-14 HRS/day. During this time, the company agrees to reimburse us for dinner, up to $13 per meal. We just have to submit a claim with our receipts at the end of the busy season. Food options around my work aren't great, so I usually brought my dinner from home. But sometimes I was too tired to cook after a long day, so out of the 8 weeks, I purchased maybe 10 meals. 3 of those meals I spent $13.50, going 50 cents over the limit. This resulted in a whopping $1.50 overage, which my manager said it was no big deal and that I could include on my expense claim. He signed off on it and everything. A few days after I submitted my report, head office emailed me saying they rejected my expense claim and that I could resubmit after I removed the $1.50 overage. I wrote back saying my manager was fine with the $1.50 overage and even signed off on it, and they responded by telling me that they do not allow overages under any circumstances, that the $1.50 must be removed or they wouldn't approve any of my meal expenses. They ended their email with the advice that I should actually read the company policy next time. Fine, they were right and I was wrong. So I decided I'd read the policy very thoroughly before redoing my expense claim. Yes, the policy clearly stated a $13 per maximum on purchased meals. Oh, and what's this? The policy also allows a $10 per diem for meals you bring from home. I very happily removed the $1.50 overage and added an additional $300 for the 30 meals I brought from home. I should read the company policy more often. Edit. Some of you are asking if I got paid the $300, and the answer is yes. Many are suggesting the person was sincerely trying to help me out, but I'm not 100% sure because they were so snippy in their email. Also, when we were emailed the meal policy at the beginning of busy season, there was no mention of the per diem and no one else in my department knew about it. Either way, I made sure to thank them just in case they were being sincere and I was just too jaded to see it. Great. Was there any place on the form to comment and thank them for helping you get $300? Yes, there was, and I made sure to thank them. $298.50. I do the employee reimbursement at my company and I would be gleeful if someone came back with this. In my experience, if I have to make someone edit their report, it's because I literally cannot process the report through the system or if I will personally get in trouble for pushing something through. Good on you for using your resources. Come to think of it, this was around the company fiscal year end, so I bet there was added pressure on them not to budge. Hopefully they got a kick out of it or learned they had some per diem dinners they could expense. If it was me, and I hope if it was you, and I spotted that OP wasn't charging for his other meals at all when actually they could, I might well say read the policy, you idiot, to give them a chance to realize. I'd probably get in trouble if I told him about it directly, but giving a hint like that I could get away with. That is awesome way to get the money that is coming to you. Did you tell all your coworkers? That would really be malicious and beneficial for them. Yes, I did, and they were very happy to hear it. Not really malicious if it's an approved benefit the company offers. I guarantee you that was built into their budget at one point. My general experience is that if a company offers you something like this, they generally want you to take it as they see it as one of the benefits of working for them and it's considered part of your total compensation. Buy a large meal with the $13. Enough for 2 meals. Bring the leftovers home, being in the next day. Claim the $23. That would give a $10 profit. I'm not sure on US food prices, but wouldn't OP be able to prepare 2 meals at home for less than $10 and therefore make a larger profit from the $20 they could claim for the 2 meals? Sounds like you made a bean counter's life a little easier. All the numbers where they should be and no extra paperwork or explaining things to his boss. As a bean counter, totally agree. Would much rather pay company approve $300 than put my career, black mark on review, on the line for $1.50 over limit. I hope you informed your co-workers of that policy. I also really hope that you thank the head office for snarkily telling you to read the policy. The policy also allows a $10 per diem for meals you bring from home. Did they require you to prove that you had actually brought a meal from home, as opposed to fasting? This has got to me the 4th or 5th time I've asked you to do this. No, actually, you asked me once per my records that you asked me to start keeping since my performance review. I had a performance review on July 1st and my boss told me that I have a hard time keeping track of tasks. It's really not my fault since the company is too cheap to invest in a task management solution. We literally have to go off massive email chains, and when you have 30 people CC'd in an email with 25 of them not knowing the difference between reply and reply all, you end up with a lot of shit getting lost in the mix. Anyway, my boss told me that I needed to start keeping track of everything. Everything, you say? Every phone call. Every email. Every bit of communication for every task. With timestamps. Because apparently I am very forgetful and don't get anything done. I'm normally never this petty, but he gave me bad remarks across the board, so I figured, you know what, I ain't going down without a fight, especially when I'm being blamed for something that is not entirely my fault. Also, I know I am very effective as an employee because I get things done, but my boss doesn't seem to know that. So I spent the July 4th weekend developing a simple task manager to be used by only me. Every Vonage phone call gets automatically logged. Every email I receive saved as a PDF and timestamped time received, time opened, time that I completed reading the email. Got a package you're sending me? I'm logging that shit too. Time the UPS/FedEx driver delivered it, time I brought it into the house, time I opened the package, time I threw out the packaging. I don't care if it takes me an extra hour each day. I'm logging tang. So today, he emails me saying this has got to be the 4th or 5th time I've asked you to do so and so task. It was my time to shine. I responded with this. Boss name. In regards to the task in question, I have received the following communication. Tuesday, July 25, 2023, 11:18 a.m. phone call received from asking me to complete this task. Tuesday, July 25, 2023, 12:08 p.m. task sent for review. Confirmed task pending review with your assistant. Emailed reminding him that the task was pending review. Friday, August 4, 2023, 11:01 a.m. email received from asking me to this is the 4th or 5th time asking me to complete this task. Friday, August 4, 2023, 11:02 a.m. confirmed with boss assistant that the task was still pending review. Friday, August 4, 2023, 11:03 a.m. confirmed with boss assistant that the task was never reviewed by boss. Friday, August 4, 2023, 11:04 a.m. re-forwarded email to boss from July 25, 2023, 12:08 p.m. reminding him that the task was pending review. You asked me once and it was completed within the hour. If you asked me about this task 4 to 5 times, I would told you 3 to 4 times that it was already pending review because it was completed the first time you asked. Asking me to keep a record of everything was a great idea because now I know that I am not the problem here. I haven't heard back from him since. Wonderful. Although you better polish that resume as I'm sure he won't like being called out on his antics. Nice work. He's going to fire you first opportunity. He's been trying to find a replacement for me for 2 years now. It's hard to replace someone who is already being paid below market rate while also being the primary developer of the company's most profitable product. He may be the captain of the ship, but I am the engine. You were hitting it out of the park until your final paragraph. I would have kept it to the entire first sentence, plus the last sentence ending with a great idea. These two sentences would speak volumes, yet with elegant restraint. Plus, if the email ever goes up the chain of command, it would have made your boss look even worse. Otherwise, you're doing great. May the boss will think twice before the next time they want to accuse you of not completing a task in a timely manner. Too bad OP didn't accidentally reply all to the email chain. Reminds me of my first job. The boss would always change their demands on the fly, nothing written. Once he came to me to complain about some task I did wrong. I just showed him my written notes I started to make. Yes, initially you wanted A. 3 days later you changed that to B. So I did B and it is ready. Should I redo it as A? After looking at my notes for a few seconds, he left without a word. His nagging was reduced in the aftermath as he knew he couldn't blame me so easily anymore. Maybe he also started to make notes. Boss suddenly discovers that his assistant has been blaming everyone else for their problem. You want his car? Take his other crap first. My partner, Carl, and I were friends at first, and when he lost his house due to bankruptcy, he came to live with me. He had no job, lived in poverty, on a disability pension, of which he gave his ex half, for 14 years since his wife left. In contrast, I owned my own house, had a successful business, and was pretty independent. He was very handy around the house and loved puttering, talking with the neighbors, and had a great sense of humor. He was clean and very easy to live with. We were together for 10 years. We treated each other well, but he had no rights to anything I owned and vice versa. I stayed away from his family drama as best I could. Carl had 2 adult kids, Margot, 28, and Todd, 35. The kids never visited their father, ever, and when he called them, they rarely picked up or returned his calls. If they did pick up, they brushed him off or dismissed him entirely. I felt bad for him, but what could I do? They were like that for years before I met him. They were rude and nasty people. But he loved them and couldn't understand why they didn't have time to talk to him. Carl died suddenly one evening at 58. He had been in poor health, and finally his heart just gave out. Not 12 hours after he died, Margot called to ask if he had any life insurance. For a nanosecond, I thought that she was concerned about my finances handling the burial, etc., but no. She told me that according to their mother's separation agreement, he was supposed to keep life insurance on himself and she and Todd were to be the beneficiaries. I guess he never told her that once she turned 18, he had cancelled his life insurance because he was on disability and could not afford it. He may have tried to tell her during one of those phone calls, who knows? Later the same day, Margot called and asked if he had a will. She told me that she had already been to a lawyer, this was the day after he died, and that because she suspected Carl didn't have a will, he would be his next of kin. She would be taking over the burial arrangements, etc., and she was the beneficiary of all of his stuff in my house, including his car, which was a used car but still newer than hers. I was pretty upset by the timing of all of this, and couldn't believe they could be this mean and cruel, so soon after he died. He was their dad and he loved them. She then told me she would be doing a walk through my house to be sure I didn't miss anything of his. That was where I said, no, you won't. Margot was really pissed about my refusal to let her into the house and to take the car that same day, and conveniently forgot to tell me where they were having the funeral. She didn't put it in the paper and she only told special people where it was. I found out later it was 3 towns away, but she did let me know repeatedly that they wanted the car and all of his stuff out of my house. I knew that once she came to take the car, she would not be back to get the rest of his stuff, which she knew was nothing of any value. I would be left to get rid of a monumental amount of stuff at my expense. Q. Malicious compliance. Now, dear Carl was a hoarder, and I mean that in the true sense of the word. Even if something was broken, useless, outdated, or worn out, he kept it. So he had 4 old-style TVs, 6 giant toolboxes, 8 computers, 2 dead BBQs, a floor-model drill press that he was going to fix, a bandsaw he found in the dump, 6 stereo components. None of this stuff ever worked. He was saving them all for parts, plus 198 boxes of metal parts from odd machines, trucks, cars, bulldozers, and buses that he salvaged and collected over the years. It was all in the garage, which he thought of his man cave. 198 very heavy boxes. Guess they were packed quite full. Plus the pride of his collection, a 60-year-old 5-ton metal lathe that Noah used to construct the Ark. So, I parked his car at the very back of my 2-car garage, then shoved all of the boxes of stuff in front of it, so that it was impossible to remove the car without taking everything out in front of it, including the metal lathe. It took 2 weeks and a lot of effort, but the garage was packed to the roof. I took a picture of the garage with the doors open. Margot and Todd soon started screaming to their lawyer that I was not cooperating in regards to the car. I responded that I needed to see a legal document that the car was in fact legally theirs, registered into their name, and properly insured. In case they drove it away, I didn't want to be held liable. I also needed to have the rest of the stuff taken away. Plus, I had just had my driveway paved, so they had to have proper movers come to get his stuff, not just a couple of yahoos in a pickup that would damage the new driveway. They said they would, after they got the car. Their lawyer screamed that I was stalling and refusing to give up the car. He even went so far as to accuse me of selling the car. I sent the picture I had taken of the garage to my lawyer, proving that I still had the car. My lawyer said, "Where is it?" I said, "You can just barely see the roof, but it is there behind the boxes." He got a good laugh out of that. So Margot and Todd had to hire a moving and storage company to come and collect Carl's precious stuff. The metal lathe took 4 men and a special small tow motor machine thing to take it away. It took all day for them to empty that garage. I asked where were they taking it, and they said to a storage unit. The head mover said something to the effect that there was no way this was going to fit in the one storage unit they had rented. Oh well. So, in the end, the cost of the movers was $14,000. I heard this from his best friend, and who knows what the storage units cost and for how long they rented them. Perhaps they recouped some of the money they spent from selling scrap metal. Oh right, I almost forgot. They also had to pay for his funeral. Turns out, I did have an insurance policy on him that I paid for and had planned to use for his burial, but since I wasn't told where the funeral was, I used the money to pay off my mortgage. It would have cost them nothing to be nice to the woman that looked after their dad for 10 years. This was a beautiful story. I'm sorry you lost your partner. I'm glad his precious children got all his worldly goods out of your garage for you. Thank you. He was a nice guy who had a lot of bad breaks, and then his ex kicked him when he was down. His 2 kids, though, they were something else. I was actually expecting you to fill the inside of the car first, in bags not loose so not to damage anything. You didn't take their crap, but they did. Yes, they did. After his stuff was gone, I had the garage painted, and one of those vinyl floors put in. What a treat! I am so sorry they did not let you know where the funeral was. It must have been hard for you to go through this. You did right by yourself, and I really hope everything goes nice for you in the future. Thank you so much. It happened in 2016, just 6 weeks after my mom passed, so it was a tough summer. I'm glad everything worked out for them and they got what they felt they deserved, as well as some of what they actually deserved. Funnily enough, he bought the car for $6,000 a year prior to his death. They paid $14,000 plus the storage units to get it for free plus the cost of the lawyer. Wow. Sounds like Carl had a lot of difficulties and drama to deal with throughout his life. He was so incredibly fortunate to have you in his world. Despite whatever happened before, you provided him the ability to be himself and enjoy life. Carl got to be Carl for his final 10 years. That's just magical. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.